Hey, what's up guys? I'm Lincoln Riddle and you're watching Premiere Pro for Beginners. In today's episode, we're going to cover the basics of Premiere and video editing. So we're going to open it up, kind of go over some stuff, show you how to make a quick little movie and export it. Let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to obviously do is open up Adobe Premiere Pro. Clearly, I've got mine going here. This is the start menu, so you can see I've been working on some projects here. This will show anything you've worked on over the last few days or maybe last 10 projects. So we're going to start off by clicking New Project because we're starting a new project. That's going to open up this little window right here. Now, under Name, clearly, you can title this a name, whatever you want to call it. Location here is basically where the file is going to save to. And then all of this is a little bit more advanced, so I'm not going to cover that right now. So just click OK. This is going to open up Adobe Premiere Pro for you. All right, so here is the main screen. Yours may look a little bit different. These up at the top here are different panels that you can use. Right now I have all of them open. So if you look over here, you can see I've got color open, I've got titles, I also have the effects panel. All right, so I've got the effects panel, titles, and the color open. This right here is your program monitor, kind of like a preview. You can also edit titles in here. Down here is the timeline. This is where you will actually edit your video, and you'll create a new sequence to do that in a second. And over here is your project bin. This is where all of your files will go. So I have all panels open. I did that by clicking the arrows here and going with all panels. However, in my opinion, I like working in editing. Well, it's just simpler, and you can open up what you need as you go. So typically you would flow in this manner: assembly, editing, color, effects, audio, titles. That's kind of why they have it laid out up here, but I like to go against the grain and go straight into the editing tab. So let's get started by importing media into our project media bin, which you can see over here, where you can double click this and that will open up this screen here for you. And then you're just going to search for your video wherever you have it saved. So let's import these two clips right here. Import. All right, now it's bringing in the files. We've got them over here, as you can see. We're going to want to move these into the timeline over here to create a new sequence. There's other ways you can do this, but this is the simplest way to do it. So I'm going to drag over this clip right here, and you're going to see it's going to create a new sequence as soon as it's in there. And you can note that it's a sequence by the bars right here, and obviously if you highlight it, it will tell you. So we've got a sequence now going strong, and there's my lovely face. Howdy. The top line here is video. The bottom line is audio. And you can see this is the first track, and then there's track 2 for video, track 3 for video, and the same down here for audio. So you can lay multiple tracks over video. You could lay literally 30 tracks of video and 30 audio bytes if you wanted to. It's, you know, it's up to you and what you're editing. Over here, you'll see the mute button. So you can mute the sound if you just want to watch the video. You don't want to hear yourself talk and make noise. You can do that. Over here, we've got the tools bar. The only two I'm really going to focus on currently are the mouse selection tool and then the razor tool down here. Razor tool basically just cuts things, and as it sounds, the selection tool allows you to select things. So we want to edit this clip, obviously. We've dragged it into the timeline. We want to cut out this nasty little bit of me looking at the screen and then turning the camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the razor tool, and then we're simply just going to left click on the line where we want it to be cut, and we will click it and it cuts it. All right, so now that we've done that, we don't want this part anymore, right? We want to get rid of it. So we'll go back over here, we'll grab the selection tool, we will click it, highlight it, and then you'll just press the delete key and it's gone. Now you'll want to drag this part of the video back to 0, or else it'll just be black video. If you left it this way, it would just be like this, and that's not good. So we want to drag it back here. Another thing that I do want to let you know is that it's much faster to work using shortcuts with these tools. You'll notice all of these tell you what the shortcut is. So for the track select forward tool, it's A. We're not going to cover that here, but that would be your shortcut. So for the selection tool, the shortcut is V, and for the razor tool, it is C. So what that means is you can just use your keyboard and quickly change between the actual tools. So I'm going to do it really fast here. C, V, C, V, C. And then delete, boom, and there you go. Now let's say I want to zoom in a little bit further on this guy in this shot for whatever reason. You would actually want to highlight it And then you'll go up here to the effect control panels, which you'll also see source and effect control, audio clip, metadata, yada, yada, yada. And as you can see, once you open this up, you'll have position. You can move around where it's located on screen. You can also zoom in if you want to, which is what we're doing. You can rotate it. You can change the opacity if you want. You can change the speed, do a little time remapping, slow it down a little bit. You can also mess with the audio. So if we go down here to the end of this video, you're going to hear it's really loud. And see, it starts peaking right there, not for very long, but it starts to get really high. So in this instance, we actually want to turn the audio down. So I'm going to separate this part, and then I'm going to come over here, deselect these two stopwatches. I'll go into more depth about what those are, but you'll want to deselect them for now and do -6. And as you'll see, it has lowered the audio significantly. Now, in this part, you'll notice the audio is really quiet. Well, I can also raise the audio in this same area, deselect those, hit 6 decibels, and boom. And it's increased it. Now, you don't only have to do 6. You can do really any number. The max you're allowed to increase by is 6. However, you can also add more volume in the effects panel onto this. We'll get into that in more depth later. Let's say you wanted to create a new sequence to edit separately from this, but you wanted that sequence to be in this. You can do that pretty simply. You'll just right-click down here in the project bin, new item, and then sequence. So we've created a new sequence. As you can see, I'm going to drag this video right here inward and change the sequence settings to match for that because we're just doing a little test. So as you can see, we've got the video in a new sequence. So this sequence is just like this. They're their own little thing right now. They're not combined, but we can combine them. So you can edit this, you know, get your razor tool. You want to crop it. You can do that. Boom. There you go. We've got it cropped, looking great, looking beautiful. All right, now we're going to drag the sequence, this sequence, into this sequence. We're going to make them one. So boom, now they're conjoined. And this sequence doesn't start till there, where that yellow line is. So now I've got two sequences joined together. And if you wanted to edit this sequence and you didn't want to go up here and click on sequence 01, you could simply just double click it. And you can edit this individually in here, or you can, you can chop it up on the timeline if necessary. By the way, this blue line right here is the playhead. It allows you to scrub through the video, obviously, and it tells you your time right here, exactly where you're at. So I'm at 3 seconds, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 frames. Okay, so you've got this video right here in there now, but you want to add a title to it to make it look a little bit cooler. Well, no problem. We can definitely do that. So we're going to go over here to titles. We're just going to do something really simple. We'll go with test. And as you can see, we've got some title styles to work with. But we're going to change the font here to something a little more cool. How about that? That looks fresh. All right, we want to change the font size. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. We want to change the color. We're going to make this black, or a mixture of black and red. That's cool. We're going to add a little drop shadow under outer strokes. We'll make this one white to make it look, fancy. There you go. Beautiful test. All right, and then we want to center this. So now we're going to go back to the editing tab, and you'll see that test is now over here in our project bin. You're just simply going to drag that on, and there you go. Now, let's say you want to get a little fancy with the title. You want it to move and do some crazy stuff. This is where you learn keyframes. Keyframing is how you animate stuff within Premiere. You can animate anything where there's a stopwatch. So, like, scale can be animated. So, at the start of test, I want to animate scale to be 110 instead of 100. So currently, test is 100 size, and I want it to be 110 at the end. So what I would do is I would click the stopwatch. That's going to create a new keyframe, which you can see here. Then I want to drag the playhead all the way to the end, and I want to create another keyframe. Well, I could either add this keyframe here and do it that way, or you could just simply type in 110. Boom. And now, if we play it back, you'll see that it expands outward towards us. Not very much, though, apparently. I chose a really bad size for that. Here, let me try that one again for you. Let's go with like 150, a little bit more dramatic. There you go. So you can see it's moving. You can even have this go from side to side. Like if you wanted it to move, you can do that. So you'd go down here to this one, and then you will just shift the title a little bit, and now it'll move left to the side and expand outward all at once. As you can see, it's pulling across the screen. And you can also do that, the same thing with opacity. Let's say you want to do opacity. You want to go from 100 to 50. You can do that, no problem. Boom, 50%. And it's going to slowly drop opacity over time. So you'll want to learn keyframing and kind of play around with it to get better at it. You can also, do rotation, and you can keyframe a lot of stuff in Premiere. You can also keyframe stuff in After Effects. So keyframing is something you really want to get used to, get comfortable with, and learn. You can keyframe color, effects, everything basically can be keyframed. So that's why it's very important that you learn it and get good at it. But this is the basics of it. So, all right, so now that we've got some awesome titles and some great video, we want to do a little bit of effects, make it have some better transitions and a little bit cleaner job. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and we're going to look for a really rough cut. So that's not too bad. That's pretty rough. You hear that little pop when the video transitions? That audio is rough. We can smooth that out by going and typing into here constant power, and you can drop constant power onto the timeline here. So you've got constant power on there. It's going to smooth it out. And if you notice, that pop is now gone. So let's start it from the beginning. And constant power, what it does is it smooths out the audio and it blends them together. You can change the length of the effect, which is currently set at 1 second, by just double tapping it and then typing in whatever you want. So I'm going to put 10 frames. And there is no pop. By the way, to open up the Effects tab while in editing, you just simply click Effects up here. So now we've got the audio smoothed out on this shot. Things are looking really beautiful. They're looking great. It's awesome. But we've got this transition here. It's kind of a nasty transition, right? Look at that. There's popping, and we completely change shots. Well, sometimes you can get away with completely changing shots. But you're for sure going to want to add in constant power on this, and this is not one of those instances where you can get away with changing the shot like that. So we smooth out the audio here with constant power. Now we want to somehow make this look a little bit better, right? Well, you can go down here, you can actually click the cut and right-click on it and apply default transitions. So what it does is it places the default transitions that you have set up here onto your video. And so we got cross dissolve here, and we have constant power down on the bottom. Cross dissolve fades the two into each other, kind of blends them together. If you watch, you'll see that here. So we're going from this shot into this shot. And then, of course, constant power smooths out the audio. So what that's going to do for us is it's going to make this look much more smooth than just suddenly changing the video altogether. So let's play it back. You see how much better that looks? There is a little bit of a jut from my shakiness of my hand, unfortunately, but you can also push these off screen if you'd like. There's all sorts of effects here in the effects panel for audio, for video, for color, for transitions, for this, for that. So you'll want to go through it. You really want to try and dive into Premiere as much as you can and really work with everything and kind of try it out. So let's play that back. And that would be pushing it off screen. So as you can see, it just literally shoves it off screen in a couple of frames. Now, one thing you can do is you can actually edit the effects. So you click on them and it'll pull it up in the effect control panel over here. So let's say I wanted to change constant power's duration. I wanted to change the alignment, like where it's sat on the actual audio track. I could do that. And it's even better for the effects for video, because if I click push, it brings up all this cool information. I can change the alignment again where it sits on the video here. I can even change the direction that the push moves. And you can even, you know, add a border if you want to make it look a little bit more fancy. So if we did that, it would look like this. Let's say we'll give it 10-point border. Now you can see it's right there. We can change the color. We've got everything set up here. We've keyframed. We've made titles. We've created beautiful effects on our videos. We've smoothed out the audio. We've got a great looking video. Wow, this video is awesome. I can't wait to throw this on the internet. But how do I get there? Well, it's not as complicated as it seems. So we've got the video here. We've got our timeline here is highlighted and good to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to File. We're simply going to click Export Media. Once we do that, it's going to bring up the export screen. This is really simple, especially if you're a beginner, because you're not going to be diving into too many crazy formats and that sort of thing. So right here, we've got your format, the way you're going to export the actual video. You've got a lot of options here. A lot of people like to use H.264. It's kind of a standard in the video world, but you can use something like QuickTime or, you know, really anything. At work, we use MXFs. I'm going to leave this at H.264 for now. I'm going to go down here to the preset menu, especially since most of you are probably going to be using this for YouTube. I'm going to give you this right here as the example. So whatever you have shot it as, 1080p or 4K or 720, maybe you shot in 480, you just simply choose that for YouTube. And that'll kind of help you with the presets. That way you don't have to worry about diving into the bit rate and all that stuff. You can just simply choose the preset. And any of these presets you can choose, but if you're uploading this to YouTube, it's better safe than sorry. You might as well just go with the 1080p HD. Now that you've done that, you can see all this information right here has changed. So this is a 1080p movie at 60 frames per second. And you can see right here I have the name is currently labeled GoPro 3219 because that's what my GoPro saved it as. So we can actually change the name of this just by clicking it. So we'll say Laugh Out Loud is going to be the name of the movie that I'm creating here. As you can see, this is a video file, a .mp4. It's going to save to my hard drive, Lincoln. So I click Save, and now it's adjusted here as well. And you can see that the estimated file size is 27 megabytes. And if you want to, you can use maximum render quality. And then you'll just simply click Export, and the video will begin to export, and eventually it will complete, and then there it will be on your hard drive. And from there, you can do whatever you want with it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button, and of course, don't forget to hit the sub button if you want more information and tips and tricks on Adobe Premiere. Thanks, guys. Until next time.